The government told the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva during a meeting this week that the rights situation in Thailand had improved, but its report was irrelevant as it did not mention the issue of lèse-majesté. Since the 2006 coup that toppled Thaksin Shinawat's government, hundreds of lèse-majesté charges have been filed. In fact, one of the accusations against Thaksin by the coup makers invoked lèse-majesté. The coup makers' partner, the People's Alliance for Democracy, has been campaigning to deem even the slightest criticism of the monarchy as lèse-majesté. The PAD has filed several lèse-majesté suits against its opponents. The previous government, led by the Democrat Party's Aphisit Vejchajiva, also used the lèse-majesté law and other decrees, such as the law on computer crime, to suppress its opponents, activists, and academics. Ironically, the current government is doing little to help the red shirts facing lèse-majesté charges, even though they were the very people who put this government in power. These red shirt supporters have been charged with offending the monarchy while campaigning against the previous government, a campaign that put Thaksin's youngest sister Yingluck in the seat of power. Punishment under Article 112 of the Penal Code is very harsh, and those convicted can face up to 15 years in jail. Freedom on bail in these cases is very rare, and the court has already rejected several requests for bail, especially from the red shirts. In fact, some of these requests have been rejected several times. For instance, the court rejected a bail request from labor activist Somyot Pruksa Kasem Suk up to 7 times, most recently being on February the 20th. Similarly, former communist insurgent Surachai Dan Watananusorn's bail application was rejected 5 times despite his poor health. In contrast, PAD leader Sonthi Limthongkul, arrested over lèse-majesté charges on July 5, 2010, was granted bail the very same day. Sonthi was charged for quoting Dharani Chancheng Silapakul word for word. Dharani was sentenced to 15 years in prison last December on lèse-majesté charges. The connection between Sonthi's and Dharani's cases has raised questions about the practice of law in this country. Rights advocates have wondered why similar cases involving the same charge under the same law are handled totally differently. Of course, the government could say it does not have any authority to intervene in the justice system, and that the question of granting or rejecting bail lies totally in the court's hands. However, the government does have the authority to address these issues as part of its human rights practice and find some proper solutions to the problem. Suparak Kanchana Kundi, The Nation Analysis for ASEAN TV.